Okay, let's have a look at this older question. I think it's from a 2016 previous exam, but it's still relevant because it's asking us to write some pseudocode. Let's read the short description. A government department has been issuing new employees with a sequential employee number for over 70 years. That sounds like our teacher employee numbers, actually. Anyway, the sequential employee numbers are now just under 100,000, and the department would like to know who has the smallest number and is still working for the department. So we got two things here. So we would assume that it's not quite at 100,000, or that we could say that it is at 100,000, and we need to find out between 0 and 100,000 who is still working and what their number is. By the sounds of it, a file has been created of employee name and employee number sorted on employee name. The plan is to write a simple program to search this file for the smallest. We're trying to find the smallest number, or is it smallest? The smallest employee number. Yes. The pseudocode has been started. Hasn't really been started. It's just set two variables here. Fill in the missing lines below to find the employee with the smallest number and to print this employee's name and number. Alright, this is fairly simple because at the start we set the lowest employee name is set to nothing because we're going to fill that in as we go. We're going to set the lowest employee number to the largest first because we're going to scroll through all of them and keep replacing and updating this until we find the lowest. So let's start some code here. First thing is, I'm going to loop the, it doesn't say what the file is called, so it just says a file has been created. So we're just going to call it file. So loop file to the end, and inside of this loop, this is going to be hard to do indentation, so I'm going to have to use space bars. We're going to say if the first element in this looped array from the file, so if the first element in this file is still employed or working at the department, it doesn't actually give us that field, but we're going to have to assume that we're checking for that because it says in the first paragraph here that it would like to know who has the smallest number and who is still working at the department. So if employee active is equal to true, oh my god, what's happening with my fingers? Then we're going to do something else. And I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using the spacebar because the tab isn't working with this text tool. So if we're looping through and we find an active employee, then we need to check and compare it with the current minimum that's been set, which is up here. So now we're going to say if employee, it's capital, we might as well keep in with what they've put up here. If employee number is less than, just let me move this, lowest employee number, then we're going to do something again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Now we're inside of this nested if statement. We are going to set lowest employee number. It's not going to be 100,000 anymore, as it was initially set up here. We're going to set it to the employee's number that we found that was lower than 100,000. And And we're also going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're also going to set the lowest employee name to the employee name. We're going to then end the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, end the if, and end the next if, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and end the loop. We're also going to, they didn't give us enough lines. We also need to then print the lowest employee name and lowest employee number, because they asked us to do that here. Fill in the missing lines below with the smallest number and to print this employee's name and number. So we're doing that at the end here. So I might put a space in there if we want to get technical. So or I'll put a dash in there. All right, so let's go through this code, or this pseudocode. We loop the file. Let's say it's a file of 100,000 people, a table of people or employees with an ID ranging from 0 to 100,000. They also have a name in the record, and so as an example, we might have 0 Tom active, and what else do you need here? You don't need anything. That's it. So you just need John not active. Oh, so false. So the active, their active column will be either true or false. 3 will be, I don't know, Jenny. She is also false. 4, Yasser is true, he's still working. 5, Chats, she's still working. 6, Josh, he's a false, he quit. All the way to 100,000. 1, 2, 3. And that is the latest. His name's Trevor. And you'd want to think the latest person is still working. True. So this file looks like this, if you want to visualize it. And we want to loop every single one. So every time we come in with this loop, we say if the employee active, which is this column down here, is true, then we do a next if statement. We say if the employee number here, in this case the first one would be 0, is lower than 100,000, then we're going to set the lowest number, the lowest employee number, to that number that was lower than the original one that we set up here. And we're going to set the lowest employee name, which we set to nothing. We're going to set that to my name, so that would be Tom. And then we're going to end if, and then loop again, and then go to John, blah, 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 Jenny, Yasser, Chats. Now, obviously in this case, my name is going to be the lowest employee name, Tom, and my number 0. But if this was false, then what do you think is going to be printed out here? We're not going to get into this second if statement, are we? If employee number, we're not going to get into the first if statement here at all. If employee active is equal to true, because it's going to go, no, Tom is false, so we're not going to go into and check even the lowest number. John, false again. Jenny, false again. Yasser's true, he's working, his employee active is equal to true. So we're going to go in and say if employee number, his number is 4, is lower than 100,000, yes it is, then we're going to set his number to the lowest number and his name to the lowest employee name. And then by the time you do that 100,000 times, we're going to loop through there, we're going to exit and print because it's saved, or it has set those two variables that we set at the very start at the top, and it's going to print the latest updated values in those variables at the end. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't, and we might change some variables around and do another example if need be.